Why do I believe XRP is going to make a massive impact on our financial system? And what is XRP's true potential? So, in today's video, I'm going to break down just my reasoning behind that. You hear me talk about XRP, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies quite a bit. On my channel, I always tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'll never share with you anything I'm not doing myself or an ecosystem that I'm not part of. We pride ourselves on that here. So everything that I have talked about is something that I do, something that I own, or we are part of. And that's very important to us. Authenticity is our currency. So as I talk about this today, I'm going to talk it from a couple different perspectives. And now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Coach JV. I am a former banker. I spent 10 years in banking. I went to CBA Executive Banking School. And in CBA Executive Banking School, you learn how to scale banks from the ground up. I was a VP at a bank, and I was in the retail side of a bank, and I got to see the infrastructure of banks. And CBA is a beautiful thing to go through because you get to see the infrastructure of banks, building them from the ground up. And we got to build banks in what's called a SIM model, right? Everything from the ground all the way up to the top. And when I was first introduced to XRP by a guy named Jay Bills that walked into our facility, at this point in 2000, I think it was back into 2019, going into 2000, I don't remember the exact date or when exactly it was. It was in between 2019 going into 2020. And he came in and he said, "Have you heard of XRP?" And so I always honor him for bringing that into my life. And I looked it up, and the first thing I saw was a phoenix rising from the ashes. Okay. Now, my life is a phoenix rising from the ashes. If you don't know my story, I attempted suicide on December 18, 2006, almost 18 years ago, to a massive opiate addiction. And I was able to overcome that addiction. I was able to build a foundation of God, family, protecting my ecosystem at all costs. And my life is completely different 18 years later. Now, that's not what the story is about, but it's important to the journey. So when I got introduced to XRP, I saw the phoenix rising from that, and that immediately kind of opened up my mind and awareness. And my bias, though, is coming from banking. Remember, I was in banking till 2017, and we were told that cryptocurrency is a fraud. It's used for money laundering. You're a criminal if you invest in crypto. So I have this bias on cryptocurrency, but I'm seeing this XRP thing and I'm seeing Phoenix rise from the ashes. Well, I'm a researcher. It's part of my human design. I'm what's called a generator. I go deep in research. And so I dove into it. And the first thing that I said is that I went into Ripple, the company, and its technology and its use case. Immediately I said, why are banks not using this? When I left the bank, guys, we were using a DOS system. Do you know the black screens with the green in it? I think they still might use that. I think it was called SN44 or something like that. I don't remember if that's exactly what it was called, but it was a system where there was little green things. We're doing transfers like that. A DOS system, guys. Think about that. We have AI technology, we have VR, we have all this stuff happening. We have AI agents. We're reconstructing 4 of our companies right now using CRM and AI agents. It's increased our revenue by 3 times in one of our company. It's a whole nother world, right? And I was like, why aren't banks using this? And then I started to study SBI, Ripple, overseas, and I realized there's a lot of banks starting to use it. Then I found it in Ripple's patent. So that's how my journey started with XRP. In my knowledge around banking and understanding nostro and vostro, where there's money tied up on one side and money tied up on the other side, and that the Swift system's this old system. Now, a lot of people get this wrong as well. Swift doesn't transfer money. People get this. Everybody's not everybody, sorry, but I hear people speaking about Swift is just messaging. That's all it is. Swift doesn't actually move the money. The banks move the money. The Swift is the communication that allows that money to move. That communication is slow. That's what ISO, I always do the number wrong, 20,002 or 20,020, whatever it is, ISO is. It's a messaging system. So the messaging system is transforming to much faster, right? So when people say there's ISO, XRP is ISO compliant. Well, the messaging super fast. XRP, XLM, things like that are going to be fast enough for this messaging system. Does that make sense? Right. So people are like, oh, Swift, XRP is taking over Swift. Swift doesn't move money. Swift is the messaging. XRP moves money. Does that make sense? So XRP is going to help the banks remove that nostro vostro. So there's not this slow. So messaging will be fast and transactions will be fast. And so when I really started to understand that at a deep level, I'm like, oh, this is just a systematic change in the system. So I immediately started going all in on XRP. It was my first investment. And as I started to go deeper into it, I started to go down the rabbit hole, right? At that point, I was an ex-banker. We own a company called the 3T Warrior Academy, a fitness coach, mindset coach. I did subconscious mind programming, goal setting, vision creation, a success coach, basically, right? And so I started to go into deep research around XRP, and they shut our business down. COVID, the pandemic, completely shut our business down. We lost all our revenue. And here I am with this crypto portfolio now, and they took away all my revenue, and it pissed me off. And instead of selling my crypto, because something in my soul was like, don't sell your XRP, don't sell your crypto. And I could have sold it. I could have went, we lost everything. I lost everything because they took away all my ability to, I had team members. We had to shut the building down. Um, and I moved back in with my parents. And I've told this story. It's all on social. And I moved back in with my parents. And I made a commitment to myself that I would learn how the 1%, number one, get wealthy. Number two, how they stay wealthy and how money actually moves through the system and what is actually happening here. So I went deep, I'd already read Creature from Jekyll Island, but I read it again. Cash Flow Quadrant, Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I started to obsessively study this stuff and how money actually moves through the system and how the 1% always stays the 1%. And I started to see a really, really cool pattern within the system. And then I started to realize from an esoteric and an exoteric level that we're going through a massive transformation called the fourth turning. There's all kinds of things happening right now. We're in the crisis stage, 2008, after the collapse, Bitcoin was created. And then we went into, so I was heavily investing, and even though they took all my income away, I still hustled. I went did the Gary Vee strategy. I started go and get stuff free off Facebook Marketplace. I was flipping stuff. And I built a really nice, robust crypto portfolio out of nothing. Then we came back, right? Our business opened up, and then our business exploded because my daughter got us on TikTok. I'm so grateful for TikTok. My daughter got us on TikTok. We started doing fun videos together, and it built our relationship too. And then I started taking this knowledge and being very transparent and authentic and open with my journey, how I was going from broke on my parents' couch to building $1 million ecosystem. And I took people through the journey, and that's all this has been. I've taken you through my growth as a man, my growth as a father, my growth as a partner, my growth as a CEO. And then boom, December 20th, 2020 hits. SEC announces a case against Ripple. And the way my brain works is I invert everything. My text messages were blowing up. Why do you talk about XRP? Blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm holding on like a tick on a dog because I knew the utility. It, number one, has all of the functionality, Ripple, to literally get a bank up and running like this. And do you know how expensive it is to change those type of systems in a bank? Number two, is it literally can transform the global financial system, which it's liquidity. Number three, it will create cheaper payments and it'll allow banks to create a whole new model, which will be customer service and faster payments. And it's so cheap that their margin will be where they create their wealth, and they'll make so much money because they'll be able to transact at a very low level and they'll charge you a little margin. But imagine trillions of dollars running through that system. They also have their DeFi platform. They're the only ones that really have the full regulatory clarity now as we sit today for banks, the safety, the security. They've never been hacked. And the way that they operate their system with holding 50% in escrow, and they have their validators. I think don't quote me on this, a lot more smarter people in regards to this. I think they run 4 validators, and all of the rest of the validators are run by not by Ripple. So that makes it decentralized, right? But they hold 50% in escrow because they dump it into escrow every month so institutions can buy it up. Now, the cool mechanism about this, when I started to study the mechanism, that XRP can't be cheap. It can't. Think about this. This is the way I explain it, simple level, and this might sound foolish or silly, but this is the way I explain it to people. Imagine you had a bunch of penguins on a piece of ice over here, okay? And you have a little piece of ice that they need to get to this other side, okay? And they have a piece of ice that they all need to slide over. There's thousands of penguins on this side. This piece of ice, if it was really thin, after the first 2 penguins go over it with their heat, it's going to melt. It's gone, right? So the ice that they go over to get to the other iceberg has to be really, really, really big because every time a penguin goes across, it's going to burn it. Its belly's going to burn it. So the token, I'm like, wait a minute. The token has to be really expensive for the transaction to be really cheap. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I started to see the awakening that the US dollar, all the money printed, that we're a debt-based society and every single dollar in the system is debt. Bitcoin was created in 2009. right after the financial collapse with Satoshi. We don't know who that is. And all of a sudden, now the top four holders outside of Satoshi are BlackRock, Grayscale, MicroStrategies, America. And then the top two countries are America and China that own Bitcoin. I'm like, there's something going on here. Then I started to realize we're just moving from an inflationary asset, the system is broken, to a deflationary asset, which Bitcoin is deflationary, XRP is deflationary. What that means is these become more valuable every year. With the US dollar, you become poor every single year, right? So Ripple, the company, is the most disruptive company in the world financially. XRP, hence, if you want to get into the esoteric, right? Ripple, we're in the age of Aquarius, quantum, ripple, water, fluid. We're moving into a fluid system, a connected system, a honest, an authentic system. All darkness is coming to light. We're moving from politicians who have self-interest to a businessman who has self-interest as well. Self-interest, but to connectivity, cooperation, a even playing field where everybody's going to have access to the system. So when the case was initiated against Ripple, I went all in. I did the opposite of everybody else. I went all in. I accumulated, I've been accumulating since 17 cents. I've been accumulating every day since then. Right. And so I stood true. I stood focused and steadfast on my belief. And that's what's made me a great investor, is because I'm fundamental. I don't get in the hype trains, the meme coins. You've never seen me promote a token. I've never been paid to promote a token. I'm not paid to promote XRP. I have my own ecosystems. We have our own businesses, right? Nobody's ever paid me to promote a token, right? I just won't do it. I've been offered a lot of money to do it. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I will not be paid to promote something to my community. A token, absolutely not. Because you're the exit liquidity, right? Then the meme coin games come and all those things, but that's not how real investing is done. Okay. So I held the line. And then Trump wins by a landslide. XRP goes from, 50 cents up over $3. And you can imagine we were accumulating since 17 cents. And we started to see the seeds we planted, the patience, we got to see the wealth from that, right? But remember, wealth is here and wealth is here. And what we did was from 2020 to 2022, when we saw the large amounts of profits, we exited and we built cash value life insurance ecosystem, a business ecosystem. We built cash generating asset ecosystem. And so when the cash came in, we didn't buy Lambos and Ferraris and houses. We transmuted that back into the utility tokens that we believed are going to be here. And it was the top 5 that Trump mentioned on his tweet. So my hopes in this video is to give you the story of why I'm so stoic and why I believe what I do and why I'm so bold. And I say XRP and Bitcoin will be number 1 and number 2. And why I appreciate all the comments. And when people are like, Bitcoin is this or XRP is this, it's like, okay, all I ask you is, why do you believe what you believe? And if you stand on why you believe what you believe, then I can respect that. But the only things I talk about is what I do. So XRP will be the most disruptive financial instrument in our living history. It will be. My grandkids, I guarantee you, won't know what XRP is, but they'll be living and grateful for the stoicism and the commitment and the ability to waver and be patient. So XRP is a disruptive technology that can change the whole financial system. That's what it is. It solves massive problems, but it also needed to be here. It had to be here. It was divinely directed. XRP was divinely directed to change the system to fair, equitable, and get everybody access to the system at an even playing field. So I hope by me telling my personal story a little bit deeper, and I'm going to do a little bit more of this as we continue this channel on, but I want to build a deeper relationship with you guys, right? This is not about the likes and comments. I love it, but this is about relationship. We built massive ecosystems. We have a Warrior Academy. It's the largest crypto community in the world of like-minded individuals who have all come together, called the 3T Warrior Academy. It's in our bio if you'd like to join the Coach JV Academy, or down below. And we're just a bunch of like-minded individuals who came together, who are learning together. And this is an opportunity for us to change our lives. So I love you guys, and I hope that helps you understand why I talk about XRP all the time. And I'm going to continue to dive in. I'm going to continue to tell you exactly what I do. And we'd love to help you. So if you need help with anything, again, in the description of this video, everything's down there, my social media platform. We also have our own financial services company. It's a brokerage. We get hundreds of messages a week, thousands every couple months around cash value life insurance. So when I profit, the first bucket I fill is my life insurance policies. Okay. I like to protect, compound, and grow, right? Insurance has made it through recessions, depressions, world wars. It is the bottom of the risk pyramid, right? They teach you how to insure your car, they teach you how to insure your house and your life, but they don't teach you how to insure your money, right? So if you want to learn about cash value life insurance, bank on yourself, infinity banking concept, about annuities, how to move old 401ks, I have a whole team ready to support you with a free retirement strategy. So that's down below. You'll see it in my social media platform. So I really love you guys. I appreciate you, and honored to be here with you guys. So I love you. As we always say, Warriors, rah, let's get your shit together. Let's go.